Hey everyone, Dan with HRT, and today we're going to show you another build out video. This one's going to be more focused towards a law enforcement setup. We're looking towards kind of a lower cost, but giving us good protection and good ability to carry our equipment on it. So let's jump in. We got a box down here. So once again, generously packed by GP. And we have a Cummerbund. We have soft armor inserts from Acelink, a response placard, and an HRAC. And then off to the side here, we have some plates as well that we'll get in there. So one of the goals here is being something that's cost effective. We know that sometimes the budget's a little bit tight, especially when it comes to duty-related gear and things like that. You might not get a budget from your department for personal purchases, so we're trying to accommodate some of that as well. So, first step, I'm going to put the buckles on from the placard on the female side, because doing that before you put plates in is very helpful. And the HRAC is a little bit tighter than the rack is, so just keep that in mind. And then it's abundantly important to put in the bottom Z on these buckles. If you don't, you could break one of those tabs off, so they really need both to be nice and secure. And you can see here, this is the 1.5-inch strap that is included with all carriers, so you can run it directly out of the bag without having to add anything to the sides. I would really only recommend doing that if you already have side protection or you just simply don't care about having things on the side. I know that some of the high-speed people do it. I probably recommend against that unless you're, that's your preference. And I pull these securing tabs out first. Just make sure you don't tear those off. And we can open up the back, and I'll just tuck those so they're not in the way. So we have our back section open here to put our Cummerbund in. I'm going to tuck this flap here up at the top, keep that nice and out of the way while I'm doing this work. And then I have to insert this from the back end on the 2-band Cummerbunds. This is for the insert. I'm going to remove the foam section that's going to be inside here, the little rigid piece, since we don't need that. And then the armor side, there's this label, should be facing the body, and we'll slip that inside of our insert. Same deal, we have a little tongue to tuck around the front of the insert and then close that nicely up. You see we have that the whole length of the sewn part. And now we can attach these into the back. And as you can note, we can choose how high we want them to be. So you might have a preference as to where you want them to be. And you can put them on the higher side if maybe you have a gun on your belt and you want to have more space to draw, you can chin these higher. Or if you don't really care or you want more pressure on the bottom, you can bring them down to the bottom. I'm going to go for a little bit of a happy medium here. Kind of just split the difference. We're not going to tie these super tight because we will likely have to come back and do a little bit of adjustment, some fine tuning, once we get everything set up with our placard and our draws and all the plates in and things like that. All right, so I have those nice in there. You can do a bunch of different knots here at the end, whatever you prefer. I'm just gonna do 2 quick double knots just to keep it nice and tight while I fit it, but not any, not crazy. And you can see we have our stretch. So as we're inhaling, exhaling, running, things like that, these can overlap and stretch a little bit. Now I'll get that nice and closed. Nice and pressed down there. And now we can put our insert back around. And these will be a little bit stiff initially, so you'll want to break those in over time. I usually put them in a fold of some sort, or you can fold them like this. Press this down, give it a couple folds for some memory, and then maybe put something on top of this to keep it flat like that for a little bit. And the next time you go put it on, it'll have a nice curve in it already. All right, now I'm gonna put our plates in it. So same as on the rack and the L back. We have this little loop here, so you can grab that loop, grab maybe the shoulder up here, and pull that open. And now we can slide our plates into that slot. Press them up nice and tight. And then I fold this in here, working it backwards so it doesn't snag on the hook and the loop on the inside. You can see my handle here, my little hook is still visible, so I can either tuck that further or I can leave it there so I can get those out at a later point. But plate's nice and retained inside. I'll do the same thing on the back. A little bit easier on the back because I have a little handle. And same thing here, if I want my handle to be accessible, I can just make sure it's tucked facing downward there, close all this up, and now I've got my plates in there nice and tight. So I've got my protection up there set up. Now, we're gonna wanna adjust our ride height. So I'm gonna take these tri-fold pieces off. We'll set them to the side. So unlike the rack, these are identical pieces here on the sides. So there is no shoulder release buckle that's attached anywhere. So you just have two pieces here. So I can open those up and size it for me. And I'm just gonna guess here with some different measurements. And you'll want to measure these and make sure that they're even once you get those all set up, because you don't want to have one side slouching and the other side's too high or something like that, because it'll mess up your shoulders and mess up the balance of the carrier, so we don't want to do that. I'm going to put these back on, I'm going to line those up, and then we always face the one wrap sections, little black hook and loop here, facing that to the outside so it doesn't scratch up your neck, and you can run any type of comms wiring or maybe hydration bladder stuff up to the front here. We'll do the same on the right side. This might take a couple tries. We do have a sizing guide that will help you make sure you get them in the right spot. We want to have them somewhere around the notch that's right up here. So that should be roughly the top of your plate. Usually it's recommended to be within about 1 inch of that. So now we might want to talk about getting some medical stuff or maybe a radio into your kit here. So this is our tourniquet hanger. This can be applied directly to your placard like this. So now I'll hang underneath the placard. Or, this has been a popular one, you can put it on here, and when the placard's over top of it, it's still going to be accessible on the outside. And if you want it to be more secured, you can put it on the inside and close this up. That's going to leave your tourniquet right up top, but underneath the cummerbund, so it's protected there. Kind of a personal preference. I tend to like them being more on the bottom of my placard like that. So I'm going to set this one up just like that, so it'll be hanging out right here. Another thing, you might have a radio or some other, maybe a spare magazine, whatever you might need. The Warrior Poet Society multi-hanger here will let you slip that in. This one's brand new here. So I can get my magazine in there and then set this up in my kit, so maybe I'll run it like that. And then I'll cover it with the cummerbund. So now we've got a second magazine tucked underneath here, maybe that's a radio, whatever you might need. If you do a radio here on either side, you have nice hooks, so you can run your comms routing and such through there. or you can run it up and over. If you have one of those cattail things, you can run it all the way to the back and run it through the MOLLE that you have on the back field of the HRAC. All right, now one other feature with the HRAC, if you're trying to do a budget setup here and you don't want to go get the rack, which has the QDs on the front and then the zipper system on the back, you can later add on the zippers to the back here, and that'll be a MOLLE in attachment that will give you all of our flexibility with all of our back panels on this unit here. So another feature, you can't not use the back panels. If you go with the HRAC, you can just get that little adapter, put those on, and then you can still use all of those options. This is really helpful if maybe you get promoted to a SWAT team or something like that and you want to have some of that flexibility, you can just add that on later. And then we'll get the placard assembled up here. And this is our response placard because we wanted something really sleek, really low profile. Sold 2 pistol magazines, 2 rifle magazines, and then there are some MOLLE webbing in the front here. So if you maybe need to attach a body camera down here, you don't want it up top, you can put it there. You can put your police patches, things like that on there. And then all these tabs are removable. So if you don't like those, you just want to use the Kydex insert inside, you can just untie them and pull those out. So this is a great feature, a great build out if you're looking to stay on some type of a budget and not go crazy with it. So this will get you a very inexpensive but high quality setup that'll keep you all the equipment you might need. And there's plenty of MOLLE all across the thing if you need to add additional pouches for cuffs, maybe you have a larger radio pouch, things like that. You can still add all those items on as well. So this is the HRAC with our response placard, the 2-band Cummerbund with the Acelink inserts, and we have our Tourniquet Pouch at the bottom and the WPS Multi-Hanger on the side here. So you can check those all out at HRT.com. Feel free to hit us up with any questions or sizing issues. We'd be happy to take care of you. Thanks for watching the video.